Most men lose power the moment they open their mouth, and don't even know it. But it's not what you're saying, it's how the conversation is structured against you. Long before you worried about saying the wrong thing, Machiavelli was mapping out how language becomes leverage, and silence becomes a weapon. In this video, you'll get 9 Machiavellian hacks, stripped down to real-life simplicity, so you can use some within the next 24 hours. But stay until the end, because that's where you'll learn how to combine them into a strategy for maximum impact. Most men think they're just making a point, when in reality, they're surrendering position. Every comment you defend, every silence you rush to fill, every time you follow the other person's rhythm, you confirm their control. Conversation isn't neutral. It's a pressure game. And the person who controls tone, timing, and frame controls the outcome. But almost no one is trained for that. Not in relationships. Not in negotiations. Not even in daily talk. This video changes that. These 9 hacks will show you how to hold tension without flinching, reframe attacks without resistance, and take control without ever raising your voice. You'll see how power moves in social settings, stores, dates, arguments, even casual chats, and how the smallest shifts can change everything. Let's get into it. Hack number 1, the cold pause. Before we get to clever tactics or psychological maneuvers, we need to start with something far more basic and far more powerful: your timing. Machiavelli understood that speed in conversation often reveals weakness. In The Prince, he wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few really know what you are." He knew that stillness is a weapon. When used with control, it unsettles others, makes them second-guess, and forces them to show their hand first. Most people rush to fill silence because it feels unsafe, like the longer you wait, the more uncertain you seem. But in truth, silence is tension. And tension, when used deliberately, shifts the balance of power. A well-placed pause tells the room that you're not performing. You're observing, judging, deciding. Imagine you're at a dinner with friends. The conversation turns personal, and someone drops a smirking jab. "What's the latest? Still recruiting off Tinder?" Laughter sparks. The group looks at you. Most people would laugh along or throw something back just to keep the peace. But you stay quiet. You hold eye contact. You let the silence do its work. 3 seconds. Maybe 4. Then, calm as stone, you say, "Didn't realize you were keeping score." No raised voice. No flinch. Just wait. Suddenly, it's not a joke anymore. You didn't meet fire with fire, you froze the room and made them feel the temperature shift. And if you're serious about leveling up, watch. This is why 99% of amateurs don't command respect. In this video, we break down the Machiavellian reason why most men lose respect the moment they start chasing approval. The link is on the screen and in description section. The next hack is the answer with a question. Once you've mastered the pause, the next step is learning how to redirect attention. Machiavelli believed that the ruler must never let others set the terms of the game. In The Prince, he warned, "It is better to be the maker of your fortune than to rely on the interpretations of others." A question may look harmless, but it often hides a frame, and if you answer too quickly, you walk right into it. The power move? Flip the pressure. Make them explain. Imagine you're at a dinner party, and someone casually throws a passive-aggressive jab. You really still believe that stuff actually works? Maybe they're talking about your lifestyle, your diet, your parenting, or even the book you recommended. It sounds like a question, but it's really a dismissal. Most people would feel cornered and start defending their choices. But you keep your tone calm and simply ask, "What makes you think it doesn't?" No irritation. No sarcasm. just stillness and direction. Now they're explaining. You've shifted the power dynamic, not by pushing back, but by inviting them into their own position more deeply. And suddenly, they're exposed. Either they reveal shallow reasoning, or they have to admit there's more nuance than they implied. This tactic isn't about being clever. It's about refusing the role you're being handed. Machiavelli would call it framing by inversion. Let your opponent reveal their angle, while you stand still and let the silence shape them. Hack number 3, own the frame, or be owned. But even redirection isn't enough if you're still trapped inside someone else's frame. Machiavelli understood that power isn't found in truth, it's found in perception. He wrote, "A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when doing so would be against his interests." Translation: if the terms no longer serve you, change them. The first to define the frame defines the rules, and the outcome. Every social interaction is shaped by invisible assumptions. Who's leading? Who's explaining? Who's apologizing? And if you don't interrupt that structure, you'll play a role you never chose. Picture this: you're hanging out with a group after work. Someone casually says, "Let's go somewhere cheap." Not everyone's in startup money mode, and tosses a look your way. Subtle, coded, and just loud enough. The others glance around, unsure how to respond. Most men either stay quiet or laugh it off, confirming the frame. You don't. You nod and say, "Cool. But let's make sure it's not cheap energy too. I'm not wasting my night just to save $20. Boom. You didn't protest. Now it's not about money, it's about value. About how the night feels. You reshaped the room's emotional context, and no one even saw you do it. Framing isn't about being right. It's about setting the lens. And once you do that, facts follow feelings, not the other way around. So now you've got the base: how to control tension, how to redirect pressure, and how to reshape the entire conversation by owning the frame. These 3 alone can radically shift your presence. But the next set of strategies will go deeper into emotional psychology, vulnerability, and the invisible dynamics that decide who holds attention, who gets trust, and who quietly dominates a room without saying much at all. In hack number 4, we'll explore how something most people avoid, revealing weakness, can be flipped into one of the most powerful tools of influence. Get ready. We're just getting started. And the next hack is surprisingly powerful. So, number 4, strategic vulnerability. Machiavelli warned that too much virtue can be a liability. In The Prince, he wrote, "A man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything is bound to come to ruin among so many who are not good." But he also knew that calculated softness disarms resistance, especially when it's unexpected. Vulnerability, when positioned deliberately, becomes a power move. The secret isn't honesty, it's positioning. You reveal what you've already conquered, not what still owns you. It's not about oversharing. It's about showing that you've been through fire, and you're not afraid to say so, once, with precision. You're seeing someone new. Things are going well, but you can tell they're testing your limits. They show up late, disappear for hours, toss light jabs just to see how you'll respond. Most guys either go cold to look tough, or start over-explaining to prove they're not insecure. You don't do either. Instead, you say, calmly, without edge, "I've dealt with inconsistency before. It doesn't make me upset. It just makes me leave." No anger. No story. Just clarity. You didn't beg to be understood. You exposed your standard, and you did it without raising your voice. That's the real play. You're not afraid to be vulnerable, because you're not asking for anything. You're showing them what not to test. If this gave you something to think about, hit like, leave a comment with the tactic you'll try first, and subscribe for more strategies that shift the whole game. Hack number 5, the contrast principle. Machiavelli understood that humans don't respond to consistency, they respond to disruption. In The Prince, he noted, men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. The most strategic speaker doesn't try to sound important, he waits for the moment when stillness, seriousness, or cold truth will cut through the noise like a blade. People remember emotional contrast. That's why you don't need to talk louder, you need to talk differently, at the right moment. You're sitting with your crew on a weekend night. Everyone's laughing, roasting each other, drinks in hand. Someone starts joking about your ex, teasing, nothing too cruel, but you can feel the attention shift to you. Most guys would laugh along or downplay it. You let it ride for a second, then shift gears, voice lower, no smile. She wasn't the problem. I was just too soft to draw the line. Pause. Then you go quiet again. No one expects it. The jokes stop. That single sentence changed the tone, not because it was dramatic, but because it was true, and no one saw it coming. You didn't lecture. You didn't snap. You injected gravity. That's contrast. Light to sharp. Banter to honesty. Done right, it forces everyone in the room to meet you at your level, whether they want to or not. And here's a shift in energy with the hack number 6 called the echo technique. Machiavelli wrote, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." In other words, people don't follow authority, they follow recognition. And the fastest way to gain subtle influence in any setting is to reflect someone's language just enough for them to feel seen, without realizing you've done anything at all. This tactic works not because it's manipulative, but because most people live unheard. Echo their words back to them, and they instinctively open up, soften, align. It's not what you say. It's what you make them hear coming from you, their own language. You're at the gym, mid-workout, and the guy next to you mutters, "I swear, my bench is cursed, every time I hit 90, I stall." You don't coach. You don't explain progressive overload. You just say, "Stalls every time at 90? He nods, surprised you even listened. Then he adds detail, "Yeah, but only when I go heavy on back the day before." Now you're not just another guy, you're in sync. He's talking. You're guiding. Or you're on a date. She says, "I hate how people just ghost like that." You say, "Just vanish without a word?" She exhales. Exactly. You didn't agree. You echoed. And that made her feel understood. Echoing is invisible power. No force. No flex. Just rhythm. By now, you've learned 6 core weapons, tools of silence, redirection, framing, trust, contrast, and subtle alignment. But the final 3 are something else entirely. These aren't just tactics for influence, they're tools that alter how people experience you. They shape memory, shift authority, and create moments that echo long after the words fade. Get ready. This is where it gets surgical. Hack number 7, controlled withdrawal. Machiavelli didn't believe in grand emotional gestures. He understood that power often moves silently, not through force, but through absence. One of his core lessons? If someone fails to value your presence, let them feel your disappearance. Most people explain, justify, try to be fair. But a clean exit leaves no trail to follow, and no space to twist the story. You've got a close friend, or so you thought. Lately, he cancels last minute, forgets to reply, shows up only when it's convenient. Then one day you see him out, same night he bailed on you. You don't confront. You just stop showing up. He texts, "Yo, what's the plan this weekend?" You leave it on read. A few days later, "All good?" You ghosting or what? Nothing. Then it happens, you run into him in person. He half smiles, says, "Man, why you acting cold lately?" And you just shrug. Didn't feel like repeating myself. That's it. No anger. No story. But now? He's thinking. Because the silence wasn't passive, it was positioned. And he has to decide, ignore it, or step up. Machiavelli would call that recalibration, pulling your presence, not to punish, but to restore the terms. The next hack is preemptive framing. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." Perception shapes reality. And if you don't establish context, someone else will. The first interpretation always wins. That's why sharp strategists don't wait for feedback. They frame it first. Not to excuse themselves, but to command how others perceive their actions. Say you show up to a party underdressed. Everyone else is in collared shirts, you're in a black tee. Most guys would feel awkward, joke about not getting the memo, or fade to the edge of the room. You walk in, smirk, and say to the host, "Didn't realize it was a job interview. Glad I wore something honest." That one line reframes your look from sloppy to intentional. You didn't just name it, you owned it. The joke's neutralized. No one can weaponize it against you, you've already claimed the narrative. Or say you're presenting a bold idea in a team setting. Before anyone can shut it down, you say, "This one's not polished. But I'd rather show you the shape of a real solution than waste time with something pretty that doesn't work." Now every critique sounds cosmetic, because you framed the value up front. This is preemptive framing. You're not defending yourself. You're defining yourself, before anyone else gets the chance. So far, we've covered silent control, redirection, framing, withdrawal. But all of that assumes you're still playing within the game. This last one? It ends the game entirely. Because there comes a moment, socially, emotionally, even professionally, when the most powerful thing you can do is nothing they expected. Here hack number 9 comes. Break the script. Machiavelli wrote, "He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived." But the strategist doesn't just play angles. He unhooks the entire rhythm, so the other person doesn't even know how to respond. You're out with friends. One of them throws a joke aimed directly at you, a cheap shot disguised as humor. Most men would fake a laugh or deliver a jab back. You pause, calm, then say, "Try again. That one didn't land." And that's it. You don't flinch. You don't laugh. You don't save them from the silence. Now they're sitting in it, and everyone else is watching. Or you're on a date. She's late. Barely looks up. You're halfway through a sentence when she checks her phone again. You stop talking, lean in slightly, and say, "You seem distracted. I'll leave you to it." You stand. You walk. No rush. No raised voice. No drama. Just script, broken. This is where strategy becomes presence. You're not reacting. You're redefining the terms. And in a world full of men trying to be agreeable, avoid tension, or say the right thing, you did the only thing they'll actually remember. You changed the ending. So now you've seen it. 9 hacks, each one sharp enough to change the tone of a conversation, shift the weight of silence, or turn someone's judgment into an opportunity. But here's the part most people miss: the tactic isn't the power. The timing is. Because a cold pause without presence looks like confusion. A frame shift delivered too early feels like manipulation. And a silent exit without clarity just makes you look unstable. That's why real power isn't in the move. It's in knowing when, why, and on whom to use it. And the ones who master that, they don't just speak differently. They move through the world differently. But context is everything. These tools aren't magic words. They're weapons. And like any weapon, they can protect or backfire, depending on the room you're standing in. You pause for 3 seconds in a high-stakes job interview. You look calm, focused, prepared. Pause for 3 seconds in a first date with someone already emotionally checked out. It lands like dead air. You reframe a conversation with a manipulative boss. Power move. Reframe too fast with a partner in the middle of an emotional spiral. Now you're just deflecting. Power is situational. Influence is contextual. And without reading the terrain, even the sharpest strategy becomes clumsy. And before you say a word, know why you're speaking at all. Do you want control? Are you testing someone's behavior? Are you setting a boundary or preparing to walk away? Because when you don't know your objective, every sentence becomes a gamble. And once your goal is unclear, you're not a strategist, you're just performing tactics. But when the goal is precision, not ego, not applause, something changes. You stop chasing reactions. You start guiding them. Like Machiavelli said, it is much safer to be feared than loved, if one must choose. And the ones who don't need love to feel centered, move the room by simply being in it. That's why the real game is in combination. The real power appears when the tactics start to chain together, naturally, effortlessly, like instinct. Let's say you're in a tense work meeting. Someone undermines your idea, subtle, polite, but calculated. Instead of jumping in, you pause. Just 2 seconds of clean, calm silence. Then, instead of defending, you ask, "Could you walk me through your reasoning?" Now they're explaining. But then you take it further. Interesting, I wonder if we're measuring success differently. Because from my end, the goal looked different. You haven't raised your voice. You haven't flinched. You've paused, redirected, and reframed, all in under a minute. And the conversation has shifted to your terms. Or let's say it's a more casual setting. You're meeting a group of friends, or colleagues, for drinks after work. One guy keeps interrupting. Every time you speak, he talks over you or cracks some passive-aggressive joke. It's subtle, but consistent. You don't react right away. You give it space. Then, during a quiet moment, you say, without tension, "Have I done something to make you want to one-up me all night?" The room shifts. His smile fades a little. He brushes it off. "Relax, man. Just messing around." You nod. Let it hang. And when the next interruption comes, you don't argue. You stand. Calm. Direct. "Good to know where the line is. I've got better places to be." And you leave. No insult. No dramatics. Just one clean move that says, "I'm not here to play for approval, I'm here to set the tone." Conversation is a battlefield. And most men don't lose because they're stupid, they lose because they play fair in a game ruled by calculation and control. But now you've seen the map. 9 tools. 9 strategic weapons, not for small talk, but for influence. Pick one. Use it today. And when you're ready for more than just survival, start combining them. Because that's when everything changes. This video is just one part of an ongoing series on power, persuasion, and Machiavellian strategy in everyday life. If you're ready to go deeper, the full playlist is waiting. Each video builds on the last, giving you sharper tools and stronger presence. Hit subscribe. This is just the beginning. And the next move is yours.